I recently received a question from one of the followers on Instagram about what happens if a bank goes bankrupt, or what will happen to the bank and what is going to happen to your stock portfolio and ETFs, everything that you have in your depot and so on. So of course I looked around a bit and there was a lot of interesting information out there. I think there was one very nice video from Finanztipp. I'm going to put this in the description. So if any of you who is proficient in German, I think you should definitely check that video out too. For me, watching the German videos is absolutely not a problem because I have native German proficiency. I did my master's in German taught program. So for me, like, it's super easy to like go through this stuff and like kind of share the things that I learned with you. For this, I have my iPad with me where I made notes and we are going to go through this. So the first scenario is if a bank goes bankrupt. So for banks, you have a security or a guarantee from the government itself that up to a limit of 100,000 euros, they are going to reimburse your money one way or the other. So that's super nice. And the benefit with this is that this is going to be applicable EU-wide. So no matter like, which kind of EU country you are in, this is going to be applicable to you. I know I have my bank in Romania, I have a bank in Belgium, I have a bank in Lithuania. I also have like, N26, which is in Germany. So I know like with all of these different kind of banks, you have 100,000 euros of Einlagersicherung or, deposit security. So 100,000 euros, that's the first thing, and this is per customer per bank. The benefit is that this Einlagersicherung goes for 100,000 euros per customer per bank. That means if you have a lot of money above 100,000 euros, you can distribute it in different kind of banks so that you are not crossing the 100,000 euros limit. This also just keeps you safer in case one of the bank goes bankrupt. You still have that money secured and that money will be given back to you. Now, what happens if you have a partner account? So if you have a partner account, that is like two people are the beneficiaries of a particular bank account, then that bank account is going to be secured up to 200,000 euros because again, there are two people inside that one account and 100,000 euros per customer per bank, so it comes out to be 200,000 euros. These days there's a lot more awareness about like opening your own depot and starting investing, letting your money grow, because stock market is essentially an inflationary tool. Like, it's always forward looking. It's always with the idea that the next year we are going to make more money than this year and we are going to improve things. We are going to keep on progressing. If the stock market was negative, stock market would not exist because there would be no positivity to look at, right? So this is the reason why I say like, unless like people, stop becoming like forward looking and they just are like completely negative and like there's nothing good to look forward to, that is the time when you would see that the stock market goes to zero. And I do not think that is in the human nature that like you stop feeling that way. So this is the reason why I personally think that, anybody who is like going absolutely crazy right now with the market crash, I don't think you should. If you have some kind of money set to the side, which you absolutely do not need, I think you can still invest that money regularly. And this is a great way for you to like, just buy more things, because once the recovery happens, it is going to make a lot of people rich. So let's go to the second part, which is stocks or ETFs. So the main distinction that we are doing here is between banks versus depots. Depots are called Sondervermögen or special assets in German. This means these things will always belong to you. These are not going to be taken over by some kind of institution or by some kind of fund provider. And what happens if some of these players go bankrupt? I'm going to explain this in the video too. So let's go down. So securities are handed over from one bank or institution to the other, and it always belongs to you. All right. So this is a basic flow chart. You generally have all of these stocks going around and it is in one single ETF. Let's say if you're taking an example of MSCI World, you're having how many? Almost like 1,563 or something, 63, 62. They keep on changing it. These many constituents. Constituents means stocks, right? Or the companies. So you have all of these different kind of like, companies in one single ETF. This ETF is made by a fund provider. For example, iShares, Xtrackers, Vanguard. If Vanguard makes a fund, if ARK Invest, for example, makes a fund, they do not own this fund. The securities are still always placed with a depot bank where all of the securities are held. Now let's take a look at the flowchart and see what kind of things can go wrong. So first of all, The very first thing that can go wrong is a stock price going completely to zero, a company going completely bankrupt. All of these things are possible. That's why when you're investing in an individual stock, yes, you're taking a risk of that company going to zero. If you're investing in an ETF, and this is also the reason why I say that you should invest in ETFs when you do not have some high conviction stocks and you're like, okay, like I'm not sure like where to invest, but I definitely want to invest. Then you just put the money in a broadly diversified index fund like MSCI World, S&P 500, things like that. All right. So even if individual stocks can go bankrupt, an ETF has very less chances of going completely to zero, because even if from these 1,563 constituents, which are a part of MSCI World, even if a few companies go bankrupt, like it will not be that all 1,563 companies go bankrupt at once. If that happens, the world is coming to an end and you have different worries to worry about. But this is like not the case most of the times. We have never seen a case like this. All right. So then you have the fund providers. What if the fund providers go bankrupt? So when the fund providers go bankrupt, we have seen previously cases where like one of the funds even were completely merged into something else. So there was one company offering one fund and then it was merged with a similar benchmark. What is a benchmark? Benchmark is MSCI World, S&P 500, and what could be a fund. So for example, HSBC, like, some fund, or iShares, some fund like Core MSCI World, things like that. And the same kind of funds are provided by different fund providers, iShares, X-Trackers, and so on, right? So these funds then merge together and the volume of the final fund then increases and the responsibility is given to some other fund, right? These are always your assets. No other person can, put their hand and like take some kind of stocks or something from your pocket. Fund provider goes bankrupt, it is simply replaced by another fund provider or it is merged into some other fund provider. Depot bank. If a depot bank goes bankrupt, again, all of the securities are then transferred to another depot bank. There are always redundancies in place. They are still going to stay secure. And if any of these paths, go bankrupt, they are just replaced by some other bank. Then if your bank goes bankrupt, again, it is simply replaced by a new bank. For example, if Para Bank goes bankrupt, all of your securities are going to be moved to Comdirect or to Trade Republic and the other way around, right? So like this is the reason you don't have to worry about it. And the funny thing about this was that even though as a bank account only 100,000 euros are secured, as a depot there is no limit to that because there are always underlying redundancies which keep on changing. Now, if you have some kind of money, let's say you have 100,000 euros lying at Bada Bank in a Tagesgeld konto or something, of course, if the bank goes bankrupt, you will still have that money secured for you because it comes under the Einlagersicherung. If you have above that amount, of course, then you will only get 100,000 euros. You will not get the amount above it. So I hope this makes it clear. It was very simple. The basic idea is that if you're having a bank account secured to 100,000 euros, if you have a depot, there is no limit on that because it is a Sondervermögen. It does not belong to anybody else. It is your securities and you own parts of a company. Unless the company goes bankrupt, unless all of the underlying constituents go bankrupt, this is nothing that you have to worry about. But bank account, yes, this is something you have to worry about, and you have to see that you do not have more than 100,000 euros lying in one single bank account. I hope this video makes it clear. If you like this video, please share it with somebody who might find this video helpful. Most of the new subscribers that I get on the small channel is because of you sharing the videos around. So of course, I really appreciate that. And if you want to start investing, use my affiliate link given below for Scalable Capital. It is a free broker. I have a very good experience with it so far. My own portfolio of above 200,000 euros is lying with Scalable Capital. I do not have any kind of worries about it, and I'm still investing without any kind of issues. So I can very confidently and gladly recommend this to you too. That's pretty much it from my side. I will see you in the next video. Bye.